Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for deciding to stay tuned at Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. My name is Anthony, and I am your host for this particularly very interesting show on financial markets. We look into stock markets, the debt markets, and get to analyze and break down some of the data from the previous day of trading and look ahead for what we should expect during the day. And the show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange. This exchange gives you a chance to buy or even sell treasury bonds on the secondary market, and getting to, of course, look at these bonds now in a new angle, that now you don't need to have an intermediate, you don't need to go and visit a stockbroker or a primary dealer. All you need to do is to dial *292#. Of course, they have done this in partnership with MTN and Airtel now. Of course, now by dialing that USSD code, you can be able to access the markets. The market opens at 15 minutes past the hour of 8 a.m. and closes at 15 minutes past 3 p.m. and that is East African Standard Time. And it doesn't matter where you are, you can buy shares absolutely anywhere. You can buy rather bonds absolutely anywhere that you would want to be, and it doesn't have to be something with a huge amount of money. You can start with as little as 15,000 Ugandan shillings for you to be able to carry out these transactions. Now, in the first segment, we analyzed and looked at some of the stock performances from the Uganda Stock Exchange, and we realized we had only 2 participants, and that was Stanbic and MTN Uganda. Now, Stanbic Bank particularly was the top mover and has been for some time now in the last 3 months, being the most traded on stock on the Uganda Stock Exchange. The company's market capitalization currently stands at 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings, representing about 4.95% of the entire equities market on the Uganda Stock Exchange. And currently also they are the 5th most valuable in as regards market capitalization on the Uganda Stock Exchange. Looking at the traded volume they had of 306,000 shares, they recorded a gross turnover of about 6.44 million shillings that was transacted on the company on Friday. The company's share price was maintained at 21.0 shillings after the day's trading. And looking at their year-to-date performance, they had a year-to-date loss of 19.2%, losing from 26.0 to 21.0 Ugandan shillings at the moment in terms of year-to-date, and they are ranked the #12 company on the Uganda Stock Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. Stanbic Bank Uganda is still the #1 most traded on or most active stock on the Uganda Stock Exchange, and I'll explain shortly how important this is. And currently we are talking about 78.9 million shares that have been transacted on the company, and on average they have had about 1.25 million shares per trading session, and a volume high of over 53 million shares, which was achieved on the 20th of October 2022. And looking at this activity, Stanbic definitely stands out amongst all the other financial institutions that are listed on the stock exchange. And currently I'm talking about its other competitors like Equity Bank, still performing better on the year-to-date at 7.18%, but when it comes to activity, it's nowhere. And also the pricing at 1,482, it is much more expensive compared to that of Stanbic. And when you're buying stock, this is one thing and one aspect you must always look out for. Buy from the best in the sector. And this is not to discourage you from buying shares in any sector. Look at any sector you want, be it finance, be it service industry, be it tourism, whatsoever sector you want to invest in, buy in the best, because that's where you want your stock to be. And for example, a company might be doing better in year to date. Yes, it could have gained value on its stock price, but when you look at their pricing, it could be unfavorable compared with the demand of that particular stock. So you're looking at a very expensive stock, yet with very low demand. You don't want to get into such a stock, because such a stock will not provide liquidity as much as this other stock that is not as highly priced and could have a worse maybe year-to-date performance. And so me looking at the financial services institutions here on the Uganda Stock Exchange, so far Stanbic really stands out in as far as market activity and future prospects are concerned. And when you look at also their intensity of activity for over the last 1 week, from Monday to Friday last week, they had 306,800 shares on Friday, about 222,000 on Thursday, 27th, and then on 25th they had about 289,500, and the biggest volume, which was registered on Monday, 52 million shares, 52.9 million shares that were transacted, meaning this is a company that will definitely give you liquidity if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for buying and selling, Stanbic will give you that. If you're looking for affordability, Stanbic will still give you that. Just with 21,000, you can buy 1,000 shares in Stanbic, a multi-billion company there. And so definitely you should take up this chance and get into some of this stock to get yourself that return as well. Also, their dividend policy looks quite good, and except the fact that they had a challenge in the last 2 years during the pandemic, where Bank of Uganda put a ban on where Bank of Uganda put a ban on the issuance of dividends by all the listed financial institutions. And so despite that, they are very good at giving dividends. Even with this ban, they were able to give back to their shareholders, and this was with over 100 billion worth of dividends that were shared out amongst the shareholders early this year. And of course, several other institutions like Bank of Baroda also offered the same, but there were some that didn't actually offer that. And so you're still looking at a company that looks at shareholders very critically and wants to give back to their shareholders as much as they want their shareholders to be part of the company as investors. MTN Uganda, on the other hand, was another company that had the movement on the market with a total of about 4.1 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization. The company is the second most valuable on the stock exchange in Uganda and currently holds about 18.9% of the total stock or equity value on the market here at the Uganda Stock Exchange. Company ended the day with 183.00 Ugandan shillings trading price, which was not any change from the beginning of the day after the company retained its current share price. It had about 26,000 shares that were traded at 4.76 million shillings on the market. Currently, they have 22.4 billion shares that are outstanding, which is quite a good number. MTN has suffered losses on the stock exchange after we saw it decline from the 200 shillings in its initial public offer, the IPO, to 194 on the 1st of January. Currently, the company has lost close to 6.15% in terms of year-to-date performance after losing from 194 to currently 183% there. And it's the 7th best in terms of year-to-date at the moment on the Uganda Stock Exchange. MTN, in terms of trading and activity, is the 3rd most active or most traded on stock, coming behind Stanbic Bank there And currently, in these last 3 months, they have had about 9.89 million shares that were transacted on the Uganda Stock Exchange, valued at 1.88 billion Ugandan shillings on the market, with an average of 157,052 shares per trading session. We can say that MTN has a moderate activity. We might not put it in the high-end performance, but at least it's moderate compared to most of the other stocks. Of course, it being a telecommunications company, it's the only telecommunications company that is listed at the moment. However, rumors have it that we could have another big telecommunications company join the exchange very soon, but those are still rumors at the moment. And so this is MTN stock for you. Still not so expensive, though not as affordable as Stanbic, but still not so expensive, and still not yet having that much competition in terms of sector-wise, but still a company that is of promising growth, and very, very added investor should look out for MTN Uganda as well. That's it from the Uganda Stock Exchange. We can now get to cross over to Kenya, Nairobi, and have a look at what happened on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Now, Nairobi particularly had a fairly not so good day for them there. The number of participants in the markets were maintained at 49 companies participating out of the 65 listed companies. And when you look at the gainers, we had about 17 of them that are listed on the stock exchange, and 25 losers on the other hand. BOC Kenya, or Commercial Bank of Kenya, led the gainers this time round with a 7.47% gain, closing with a price of 82.75. It was followed by TPS Eastern African Serena Hotel. Of course, this is one of also the top movers on the market at the moment, with a 5.61% gain there. Trans Century also was another company that gained on top at a 5.45% gain, as well as Liberty Holdings Kenya, which gained about 5.36% on the stock exchange in Kenya. On the losing side, Stanley Fahari income rate came in as the bottom loser at about, let's see, 8.12% depreciation in price, closing at 6.34 Kenyan shillings per share there. And the Nairobi Business Ventures also lost about 6.07%, as well as the Nairobi Securities Exchange, which lost about 5.72%, and eGads, which was about 5.17% decline on the market. And looking at the top gainers, top movers, Safaricom maintained its position this time round, coming back to the topmost gainer, rather topmost mover, at a 5.33 million share volume that was traded. Kenya Power and Lighting Company, which has currently gained popularity on the market, came in as the second biggest mover at 2.68 million shares that were transacted. KSCB Group had about 1.99 million shares that were transacted, and Equity Group Holdings had about 804,000 shares that were recorded on the market. Regarding the performance of the NSE index, which is the benchmark index, it dropped about 1.20 points, closing at 128.143 points at the moment, representing a one-week gain of 0.1% and a four-week loss of 2.04% on the stock market in Nairobi. The benchmark index, of course, regards the performance of the entire exchange and gives us a picture of what the exchange is looking like. And looking at the Nairobi Stock Exchange here, it's still on a weekly gain, but still year-to-date loss and a four-week loss, meaning there's still some work to do within the next new month as we get into November and also the middle of the fourth quarter already. So you can see a lot of work is still needed to put into the Nairobi Stock Exchange as well. Remember, the exchange suffered during the general elections, as many foreign investors liquidated and moved out of the markets to go into more favorable or more profitable treasury notes and other debt markets on the US market, in China and so on. And definitely we didn't have much good activity there. But the company has been trying to get back to full blast activity and trying to engage with its shareholders to see that the stock exchange returns to profitability. The NSE20 is another index that slumped a little by 0.73%, and also the NSE25 this time also declined by 0.48%. And that's the overall market, their performance from the Nairobi markets. The Nairobi market still has other segments. Remember, we have the main investment segment, the alternate segment, and the fixed income securities market segment, as well as the growth enterprise market segment. And the growth enterprise is looking at the small and medium companies or enterprises that are coming up and are still looking for capital. The fixed income is looking at the fixed incomes. That's the treasury bonds to lend to government, the Kenyan government in this case. And when you look at the alternate investment market segment, it's looking at the other companies that could be able to list on the main investment segment but are not yet qualified. So you have an alternate market segment as well. That's why we see a lot of diversification on the market in Nairobi as well. You can see a little bit a difference in the number of products. They still have an exchange traded fund running, as well as derivatives on the market, which we don't have definitely here on the Ugandan market. But well, it's the oldest stock exchange and the largest so far in East Africa, and definitely we could say this could be one of the reasons as well. That's it from us today. It's the 31st of October, so I wish you a very good new month. Come tomorrow. May God keep you, and keep investing, keep saving, and keep watching Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. My name is Anthony. I'll catch you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye for now.